Hello, hello. Let me remove the slide screen. Oh, it's definitely long. Hello, welcome. I have never done this before, so if this is a little rough, I apologize. The lights are gonna turn off in about like 30 seconds, so if you're wondering why it goes dark, you know why right now. But I just want to do a, I guess, live review of the OnePlus Open, which I've had for quite some time now. And my opinions have changed as time has gone on. But some of the things that I said in my original day in life video kind of still ring true today. But kind of just want to do this in a format that is a little bit different. So first things first, this is going to sound so stupid. I don't know where my S24 is, and I need to find it because I'm recording a day in a life, and I just need a good time reference. Did you get the S24 Ultra yet? I have not gotten my S21 or S24 Ultra. I assume it's going to be here within the next couple of days, because I believe the official release date is the 31st of January. So as soon as I get it in, I will try to do my review as soon as possible. Or not review, but my first impressions and things like that as soon as possible. But as of now, no, I do not have it. Where is my... Where's my S24? Seriously. I could have sworn it was in my pocket. You're one of my favorite tech tubers. Well, you're one of my favorite viewers. Give me one moment, guys. First of all, I need a... Where's the phone with my SIM card in it? I have no idea where my phone is. I have the S23 Ultra and OnePlus Open. Love the OnePlus Open. Gaming is great. Waiting for my S24 Ultra. That's actually a pretty good combination. Expensive combination, but you know, still a good combination. Okay, guys, give me like 2 minutes. Let me find my S24. I'll be right back. Why didn't you get the S24 Ultra? I did. It's just the S24 came in before the S24 Ultra. I have a feeling if you order directly from Samsung, or you have a plug, probably got the device early, but I haven't gotten mine shipped yet from the retailer that I purchased from for the S24 Ultra. Let me record my day in a life real quick, and then we can get started with the review. Yep, that's easy. Gotta love the amazingness of... Lost my train of thought. Voiceover. Alright, I really don't like... So let me actually turn this off and then this it. There we go. Okay, so... I need to have the chat on the other side. Pop out chat. Let me just throw the chat right here. I think right here is okay. I ordered at launch, had a delivery date of 1/31, ended up receiving it last Friday. What phone are you recording on? This guy right here. The iPhone 13 Pro, one of my favorite iPhones ever made. Although the 15, I would say, is objectively the best one. I still just have a feeling when it comes to the photo processing, the 13 looks a little bit more true to life. Is it hard to go from 12 years of Apple to Android? Yes, it's actually pretty hard. I know a lot of people make these videos where it's like, oh, I'm going to iPhone, go to Android, back to iPhone, here I'm on Android. I don't know how those guys do it. I mean, reviews and whatnot, but like in all seriousness, when it comes to transferring your data, it's messages that are probably going to get the biggest hit, and it's much harder to go from how do I phrase this? It's harder to go from Android to Apple, or I mean, yes, Android to Apple, because I feel as though Apple just makes it very difficult to get your data from Android. Whenever you set up an iPhone, there's a setting to like move to iOS. They have to download from the App Store, or Play Store, I should say. And every time, and I really do mean it, every time I try to use that feature, it ends up not working. But the inverse is not true. Whenever you want to go from iPhone to Android, Android just has a lot of options you can pick from in order to get your data from Apple to your new device. But once that's all said and done, it's really more or less just trying to get used to how the OS is, because when it comes to using the phone day to day, like phone calls, messages, your apps, it's pretty much going to be identical. But there are just certain things that you can do on Android that you can't do on iOS. There's certain things you can do on iOS that you can't do on Android. And it's just getting used to those, gestures, those features that are specific to that phone. For example, I do a lot of reading when it comes to my iPhone, but on Android, the hardest thing for me was whenever I try to go back to the top of the page, you can't just click on the top right on the iPhone or on Android devices. Thank you. You can't just go back to the top of the article or top of the page. On Android, they don't have that feature built in. So you have to like swipe all the way to the top. Probably make some shortcut or gesture, but for me, it's all about nativeness. And it's also a thing, if you're really used to Android going back to iOS or going to iOS, there is no universal back gesture or button at all. And that is something that is probably one of the biggest deal breakers when it comes to moving over to iOS, because I'm just like, man, why can't I just go back on this screen from just swiping to the left like I can do on Android? So yeah, it's small things like that, but I would say after about a month, you're good. When will Apple finally hop on the foldable phone space? I'd say good money for foldable iPhones. I just think it's too much of a risk, to be completely honest. As much as foldables are great as a value proposition, I just don't think it's a good idea for Apple to get into the business unless there is a high demand. Like, unless these products, like from all these other companies, unless they are like limited supply or there's just a high demand, it really makes no sense for Apple to say, oh, since everyone else is doing foldables, let's do foldables. The iPhone is selling just well. The rest of their product stack is selling just well. The watch, fine. AirPods, fine. MacBooks, fine. I don't think a lot of Apple customers, like the generic Apple customer, is screaming for foldable. And I think the Apple Vision Pro is a good test as well. Just to see how strong the Apple fan base is. I don't really care too much about launch orders, because launch orders, I mean, they make sense, but as an investor, you have to think like long term, like what is your year-to-year growth, or what's your quarterly growth? If there's not a lot of sales and there's going to be declining sales for the Apple Vision Pro, they might cut it. Same thing with the foldables. Like if they put out a foldable phone, launch is great, but there's like a sharp decline quarter after quarter, there's no point in investing in it. Whereas like the iPhone 15 probably has a pretty sizable launch, but the decline quarter after quarter isn't going to be as severe as like a foldable phone, or I would argue the Apple Vision Pro. I don't have insight. I'm pretty sure Apple has all that market data in terms of how much they sell and whatnot. But if there is a sharp decline quarter after quarter, it's probably not going to make much sense. So, long-winded answer. Hopefully that answered your question. Oh, the win. I know a lot of people would pay good money for it too. But you also think about like the developers, things like that. All right, so let me. I tried to set this up the best I could. Oh, what the heck? Okay, there we go. So I tried to set this up the best I could. Hopefully you guys can see the chat. This right here is the S23, so let me just get this off the screen. You guys probably want to see latest devices. And this right here is the S24. Okay, so I think we are good. Let me show a little bit. No, I'm not again. Okay, let me move the Apple keyboards. And let me show you this OnePlus Open. First and foremost, by the way, do I need to invert this? Like, does this show up as Monday or is it Yauma? I don't think I said that right. I think I have to invert it because whatever I see, I think that's what you guys see too. So let me just go to transform, or nope, flip vertical. Okay, does this say Monday now? Oh my goodness. Do I flip horizontal? Okay, do I flip vertical? Yeah, I don't know my lefts, my rights. Okay, I think we're good now. So it should show Monday. Okay, so once again, this is my first time doing this. I don't really know what I'm doing. If the background music is too loud, let me know. But I'm just going to go through some of the typical things I talk about in a smartphone review and then kind of leave it for an open-end discussion where you guys can ask me questions, give me your insight on your foldable phone experience. I can share it with the people that, you know, watch the video back in the future. But without further, I don't have a script either, so I'm just basically going off the cuff. Let's talk about the OnePlus Open. So when this device initially was released, I was very excited. For one, the price, $16.99. I think it was undercutting the Fold 5 slightly by like $100, $200. And I would go get the Fold 5 right now, but I don't want my lights to automatically turn off. Actually, I don't think they will. But anyway, there's going to be a lot of tangents, as you can tell. The price is what really got me, and I think that's what got a lot of other people too. And I feel as though OnePlus is kind of getting back into its old identity of being the flagship killer, as you can tell with the OnePlus 12. I still think they're making like strange decisions when it comes to like the final product, but overall, I would say from like a general consensus, they are going back to their original form, if that makes sense. So when the OnePlus Open was announced, it was like, okay, this might be the best thing. Plus, on top of that, they are getting a lot of their supply from Oppo, parent company, I believe, or one of their subsidiaries, or I believe OnePlus is a subsidiary of Oppo. So they already have a bit of an advantage on how they can deploy a foldable phone, because no disrespect to OnePlus, but this really just seems like an Oppo, I believe it's a Find N3. Really just like with the OnePlus branding and the camera software. And when you first hold this thing, this outer display is almost perfect. And the reason why I say almost perfect is because there's a lot to love about this display, right? Like if I were to bring up my S24, it's pretty similar to the outer display here. So then it begs the question, why would you even open up the OnePlus Open? I mean, for good reason, right? If you're trying to consume media content, let me flip this over in case I get notifications. If I get, or if I'm interested in media consumption, or if I want to have more on my screen overall, then I'm going to open it up and, you know, ingest the information that I need. Sorry, I got to make sure I'm not showing any personal information. The one thing that I am not too big of a fan of is how the inside and the outside display when it comes to the home screen are a bit shared. So you can see here, I have four apps, and let's just say I add in one app. So let me just add in Air India, for example, and I just place it there. If I open it up, Air India is there as well. As a person who likes to have their setup the same across every single device, I don't like how I can't have multiple icons on the, the base home screen. I like having stuff cramped. I don't want to say it's like a good thing because obviously spacing is good. Excuse me. But yeah, I'm a person that likes the 5x6 or 5x5s just so I can have more stuff on here so I don't have to swipe all the time. But for like simplicity purposes, let me actually show you guys what I mean. So you can see here on the S24, I kind of like having a, slant design when it comes to making my apps. And if I were to do that here, let me just get some other apps. So let's just do Amazon Alexa, Asphalt. So it's a little bit similar, right? But if I were to open it, the home screen just looks kind of right? And honestly, I'm nitpicking. Overall, I do think this is genuinely one of the best foldable phones. But it's little things like this where I wish I always have trouble saying this word, differentiating between the outer display and the inner display. But overall, pretty happy with what I have here. The next thing that I want to talk about is the cell service. Ooh, let's just remove this. Cell service is pretty good. I would say it's on par with the Fold 5. Haven't had too many problems when it comes to 5G connection, things like that. But yeah, I think that's all I can really say on the cell service. I don't think there's much to say on cell service, right? It has 5G. The millimeter wave is on this phone. It works great. Most of the time, like where most people are using their device, I'm assuming if you have a $1,600 or $1,700 device, you have pretty good Wi-Fi. You're probably going to be on Wi-Fi majority of the time, and my Wi-Fi connection, as you can see, is pretty strong. Now, this does have a USB-C charging on the bottom, but the one thing that I don't like, especially with the OnePlus 11 as well, which this is where I think OnePlus is still making some very strange decisions. I don't know why there is no wireless charging. And I know some people are going to say, who cares about wireless charging? Just plug it in. I think for a device this expensive, you have to have some level of wireless charging. It could be because this camera hop is big. It can also be OnePlus's justification that, we see the data, we know how people use our phones. Not many people have wireless charging, or not many people are using wireless charging. Someone just said that the OnePlus 12 has it, so it seems like they took community feedback. But for me, it kind of is a deal breaker for not having wireless charging. I understand that they have the warp charging and it makes up for it when you want to charge through a wire. And to be honest, when you have super fast charging, yeah, I almost want to say battery life is non-existent, because if your battery is low, you just plug it in for like 30 minutes and you're good. You really don't have to worry about battery life. And that's a topic, a discussion for another day, because I know some people are like, oh, well, the phone doesn't last as long. Well, if you couple it with how fast the phone charges, I would argue that the battery life is pretty good. So one of the other problems I had was the fingerprint sensor. It's okay. As you can see, I'm pressing it and it's failing. It's very inconsistent. I know some people say use the face scanner. The face scanner works, but in my experience, right, as soon as the lights go dim, the sun goes down, the face recognition is not going to work for someone with my complexion, just to be completely honest with you. Some people said that you can add your fingerprint multiple times or upside down. That does not work for me on this phone, because if I were to go here, got to make sure I'm not exposing anything. if I go to fingerprint, right, and come on now. All right, so I have one finger, which is this. If I add a fingerprint, and let's just say I want to add it upside down, which is my thumb, it starts scanning, right? Oh my God, OnePlus. Take the finger. Okay, what the heck? This should not have worked. Wait, what? Okay, so it might be, I don't know what just happened. But yes, one of the suggestions that I was told was to add the fingerprint upside down. But whenever I tried to do that, it always said fingerprint already registered or something like fingerprint already enrolled, something like that. So let me try again. Yeah, so it says fingerprint already exists. Come on. Yeah, see, fingerprint already exists. And if I were to do it like this, fingerprint already exists. So I'm actually shocked that worked. So let me just go ahead and lock this. Yeah, not bad. Not bad. Let's do 3 tries. Yeah. Okay, well, you guys are right. So my complaints on the fingerprint sensor are kind of gone. I would say if you are doing it upside down like I did for I don't even know how long and it says enrolled, just like mash your thumb all over it and it should recognize it as a different finger and you will probably have better success when unlocking your phone. So I know I said I was moving off of the display, but the one thing I want to talk about is the inner display. And this is really the bread and butter of the overall device. This inner display is a gem and a treat to look at. It is very smooth. And I think OnePlus also did a very nice job when it comes to their OS with multitasking. Like the ability to just use almost like 4 apps full screen, just swiping between them all, I think is a really nice design that kind of makes you feel bad for the Z Fold 5 because the Z Fold 5, it almost feels like the regular One UI OS just kind of expanded out. But it seems like with OnePlus, they really had a focus when it came to making this capable of multitasking. So for example, if I were to open up, I just don't want to expose anything. Okay, let me go to battery here. Right, here's my battery life. And if I wanted to do another app, let's just go to Chrome here. So you can see I have Chrome. I can put on this side, that side. And also, oh, excuse me. So hopefully I'm not going to show anything. This is live, so I can't take any chances. Okay, we're good. Okay, we're good. So as you can see here, I have my battery information on the left, Google on the right, and I can easily just, get more information from just like tapping on the right, tapping on the left. There we go. Just like that. And I think this is really what makes the OnePlus Open such an amazing foldable device. And it's the software aspect of it. To be able to do this seamlessly, and then on top of that, okay, so this is the other thing that I was showcasing before. So if I click on this, I have all these other apps. So if I wanted to play Asphalt, for example, I can just put it here and it puts it on the bottom. And just like that, I can read some articles right here. But if I need to hop back to my game and things like that, boom. The OnePlus Open does an amazing job when it comes to multitasking, hands down. But overall, the last thing I want to mention about the display is the refresh rate on the outer display. I don't know if this is something software specific, but the refresh rate is just a little bit jarring when it comes to the outer display. It's not as smooth as the outer displays of the Z Fold 5 or the Z Fold 4 that has that consistent, or not, I don't want to say it's consistent, but the adaptability of going up to 120 hertz, going back down to 60. It's just more jarring and more juddery on the OnePlus Open. I really don't know why that is a thing. because I think the outer display is really great. But sometimes when I'm like reading stuff and I'm scrolling, I'm just like, it looks really bad. And then I open it up and everything is just buttery smooth. So hopefully they can fix that with their next iteration of the OnePlus Open. I've probably spent way too much time on this display, but you know, it's one of the biggest selling points of foldable phones, right? You want your displays to be good. Once again, the inner display, it's a treat to look at. And then since the outer display is similar to like a regular slab phone, whenever you open it up, I'd say it's more comfortable. It's more comfortable than I would say the Z Fold 5, because Z Fold 5, it's a little bit taller and more narrow, whereas this just feels almost like you're holding a mini book, pocketbook, some might say. Someone said, yeah, it either does 120 or 60. You can change it to high and it'll be set to 120. So I actually did that, and the outer display still had a bit of a jarring effect when it came to just swiping down. I also want to say it could also be the app. Like, I was in the YouTube app, and when I was swiping, I was like, this just looks terrible for some reason. Opened it up, looked fine. So yeah, no wireless charging, deal breaker. But we got to talk about the cameras, because I was pretty adamant that the cameras were not that great. But as you guys know, if you watch other tech content, if you watch other tech content, the blind camera test by MKBHD, the OnePlus Open did not only better than pretty much every other foldable phone, but also was pretty high up there in the rankings, which should say a lot about the camera and what people prefer. I really don't know what it was when it came to me taking photos and videos, but just from my own, I guess, preference and what I was seeing, it just didn't look that amazing or that appealing. Let me go ahead and open up the camera real quick. So if I were to take a selfie, right? I mean, maybe it looks different when you upload, but it just does not look that amazing. It might just be me. Maybe I'm a strict person when it comes to photos and videos, but I don't know if it's simply me. I do like the overall camera software. Could use a little bit of cleaning up. I think it's a bit segmented out. I think Samsung has a much more intuitive camera app, but overall, you know, all your buttons are there. You have your ultra wide, your 1x, 2, 3, 6, and if you need to zoom in more, you can do that as well. The portrait, you got the Hasselblad branding everywhere. I'm not sure how much longer that partnership is going to last. I could also blame, let me take a portrait real quick. I could also blame that, you know, my lighting isn't the greatest, but it's just like that post-processing that it does. I think that's where the Pixel, the Pixel Fold does a much better job. But to say that this would be my main camera, coming from a regular device, like let's say like an iPhone Pro device or an Ultra device, I just don't think that the OnePlus is beating out those phones. So if you're okay with the quality you're getting for $1,700, or you know, you could probably get it cheaper now because the device has been out for some time, I'd say be happy with the camera that you're getting, because out of all the foldable phones, it's probably not going to get much better than this. Next up is probably the build quality is what I should have started off with first. But overall build quality, as you guys can see, I got the black one, and it comes with this vegan leather, synthetic leather, that whatever companies want to call it now. If you get the other color, which it's slipping my mind, it's either green or blue. OnePlus really likes their green or blues. You get a regular glass finish on the back. Personally, I kind of like the rubberized, not rubberized, the fake leather material. on the black one, just because it's easier to differentiate between, you know, the other display and the back of the phone. And honestly, it looks really appealing to my eye. This is not appealing though. This ring, not appealing at all. And so I've gotten some opinions from other people as well that they love the overall device, but this large camera hump is just not that aesthetically pleasing. I mean, it's not like you're going to be looking at it 99% of the time anyway, but it's just something that, you know, when you hold up, it is what it is. As long as it takes good photos, you know, who really cares what the back of the phone looks like? But overall build quality, I think OnePlus did a bang up job. I don't know, like I said, if this is just a repurposed Oppo Find, whatever. It's the Oppo Find, the foldable phones that Oppo has, just reskinned with OnePlus and the Hasselblad branding. Because the overall build quality is exceptional. And it's been a while since I've used OnePlus. I believe the last OnePlus I've used was the OnePlus, it's either the 8 or 9. And I think it was the 9 because the 8 was like, wow, this is an amazing device. I think that's also the same year that OnePlus dropped us at like $999 and we're like, yo, you are supposed to be the flagship killer, not a flagship at the price. But regardless, when it comes to foldable phones, I actually would say that it's almost like a tie between the Fold 5 and the OnePlus Open. Because the hinge design, I would prefer the OnePlus Open, just because whenever you're about to open it up, like fully open it up, ooh, whoa. It was opening up the COVID thing. But when you're about to open it up, it like locks out at the very end and you can feel it like snap out. I love that. People also mentioned that there is a bit of bending that happens, or it's not like fully flat after some time. My device was never flat to begin with, so I never really saw that as a problem. I also think the hinge design is good. I don't know if the zoom or the focus is going to work here. But yeah, they also have the hinge kind of like on the outer border of the display. Just a superb job when it comes to build quality. And I do feel like the display is going to last longer than a Fold on the Samsung side would. Obviously, there's people posting on social media about, you know, their display going bad within like 3 weeks, a month, things like that. I've had this phone since release, and I haven't had any problems. Once again, I do take care of my devices. You know, I throw them around and stuff for videos, but in all seriousness, I really do try to follow the messages. I don't try to do this anymore after reading the instructions and whatnot. But yeah, build quality, I would say, is exceptional when it comes to the OnePlus Open. Speakers as well. So you have 2 speakers on the bottom, and then on the other side, you also have 2 speakers. So this is a powerhouse whenever you have this device open. And for a person who has not used a foldable phone, if you were to try any of them now, you would be satisfied. But if you were to try the OnePlus Open, you would be blown away. You'd be like, I have to get this phone. Why would I ever want to use like a regular size phone? And that's simply because I think OnePlus, once again, I'm pretty sure they had help from Oppo, but I just feel as though OnePlus is taking genuine feedback from their customers in the recent years, and they probably had a lot of internal testing of, you know, who would want to use this device. They would get feedback, say, hey, what do you think could be better about using this device? And I think they got a decent amount of feedback. Also Oppo as well. So it's almost like a joint venture. And this is what the product that they came up with. And this is the first iteration of OnePlus Open. And once again, bang up job. I am getting some comments, so let me just read them out real quick. YouTube sets default to 60 unless high. OS 14 will have app-specific refresh from 60, 90, 120. It is annoying though. Yeah, I wish there was just like a system-wide 120 for all the apps. But it's nice that, once again, OnePlus has taken some feedback. There is going to be an OS update to fix that. But I can only judge things from what is available to me right now. Any problems with Android Auto? One second. I don't know why I got to burp so much. Any issues with Android Auto all the time. Do not get me started on Android Auto. Overall, Android Auto does its job, right? I plug it in, ask me if I want to use Android Auto. Like if it's the first time, I'll say yes. I'll give it the proper permissions. Have Android Auto. Do what I need to do. And then every I don't know why I want to use the word encounter. Every other time I use it, then on, I just plug it in, and it works perfectly fine. I just hate Android Auto as a system itself. That's probably the biggest thing that I miss from iPhone, to be completely honest. CarPlay is through and through significantly better than Android Auto, but this is not an iPhone review. I can save that towards the end of this, open discussion that we're having. Gaming is spectacular on the OnePlus Open. Yes, we are aware of that. You can just go between your menus just like so, and just like that, you can move it around. I gotta tell you my age, seriously? Okay, it's fine. I was just showcasing some of the capabilities there. What was I talking about? I already talked about the build quality. I already talked about the camera. The charging as well. Oh, the speakers. Yeah, just as a general media consumption device, this is top of its class. There's really not much more to say. Like when it came to, because I had my S23 Ultra before I switched to this device, and I was like, yeah, this is gonna be hard to give up, because just like watching content, I was like, I don't even need a TV, to be completely honest with you, unless I want to watch something to give me like a real cinematic experience. But I would argue that I can do that perfectly fine. If I had like, headphones stuff. The speakers are great, but if you have headphones that have better sounding, things like that, probably want to use that, but the display is just a treat. It's a gem. I think I've covered most of the things I wanted to talk about. I already talked about the biometrics, face unlock. I think it's just an Android thing other than the Pixel 8. I've looked into the haptic demo. I think it's the best haptic I've had in a device. I believe I did test that out a while back. I believe it's up here. Then space, standard mode, flexible window, emoji, move. This is another thing. OnePlus, it's been a while since I've been on it. I think it's Oxygen OS. Sometimes it does give me some issues. But let me find the haptic thing, because I remember using this initially. Haptics and tone. I wouldn't necessarily. Oh, here it is. Oh, haptics. In a foldable device, I mean, I haven't used the Pixel, man. I wish I tried the Pixel. I think the haptics are good. I wouldn't go as far as to say it's the best I've had in a device. I would still reserve that to the Pixel. But on a foldable phone, from all the ones that I've tried, yes, I would say that the haptics are very good. Very pinpoint, very tight. But I just feel as though the vibration motor that the Pixel uses, I get at least in their regular devices, just has a stronger and tighter haptic whenever you are messing around with the device. But overall, you can change the intensity. So if you want it to be a little bit tighter, there you go. But I would still reserve the best haptics, at least for me. We can agree to disagree. Over to the Pixel. I need to try the Pixel Fold. Maybe the Pixel Fold 2 this year will come out and I'll actually get it this time. But yeah, so I will kind of leave it off there. If I had to give this phone a rating, I would give this as like a general purpose phone. I've actually never done a rating before. And I originally wanted to say 9 out of 10. But like, because I mean, this is honestly like the ultimate phone, right? You have a pretty good outer display. Hopefully they fix those issues with a, software update. But the outer display, you can get majority of the stuff you want done just like this. And it's fairly thin as well. But if you want to have a more immersive experience, you want to be better in productivity, you want a game, woo, open it up, and you're good. You're golden. So, yeah, I'd give it a... Let me actually be a little bit conservative. I'd give it an 8.5. I think a 9 might be a little too high. And trust me, I'm pretty harsh when it comes to rating anything, and 8.5 is pretty high. And as a foldable phone, 9.5. 100%. 9.5. If they just make minor improvements, I think this can be a 10 out of 10 foldable device. Because just the sheer thinness and usability of the device, I think it's really hard to pass up this device as a foldable. Battery life on a single charge, it's been a while since I've been on this phone. I'm gonna have to go back and go to my day in the life video. I want to say it lasted all day, but once again, with a phone that has super fast charging, I'm really not too concerned about battery life on a single charge because, at least in my day-to-day, I'm almost going to be around or have the opportunity to charge my device, whether it's driving to work, driving somewhere, or if I need to sit down for a quick second. I always have USB-C lying around with me, and if I need to plug it in, boom, there we go. How good is the back camera for stuff like flower, macro, or nature? So my experience when it came to the nature stuff, it just wasn't that amazing. But the macro, I can actually try right now. So I have this deck of cards. I'm not a magician by any means. Yeah, the OS as well, I can definitely agree. It's a little bit annoying. The biggest annoyance for me initially was just the notification center. Things were just very... yeah. Everything was just so, like... Everything was just ballooned for a second. So what I had to do was I actually just had to turn the font size all the way down, and it just made things a lot easier to digest when I was swiping down from the notification center. I don't have any notifications now because I've left this phone. But when it came to notifications, I feel as though I do remember, like, when I try to, like, swipe down, like, if there was, like, a... if I had notifications of like 12 in a certain app and I try to swipe down, it'd be like it's those small inconsistencies that I don't like when it comes to the OnePlus. And hopefully they can fix that with future OS updates, but you kind of just get used to it after a while. Is OnePlus a Chinese company? That's a good question. I think it's a very... I don't want to give you false information, but I believe it's like independent from Oppo, even though Oppo is like their parent company. They work independently from them. And I want to say they're a European company. Let me just fact check myself. I don't want to give you any false information. Where's my keyboard? I feel like originally they were like a European brand, and then eventually they just said, hey, you know, Oppo has... We're lying in bed with Oppo, so we're just a Chinese brand at this point. So let me bring this up. And let me just move this temporarily. Well, it says OnePlus technology was founded by blah, 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 but it says Shenzhen, which is China. The headquarters, China. So, once again, it's like a subsidiary of Oppo. I feel as though they try to make a clear distinction that they're not Oppo, they're their own thing. But it really just feels like it's like an international version of Oppo, at least here in the US. But, dude, the 7 Pro was probably one of the greatest phones they ever made back in the day. I miss that phone. But going back to the chat. Holy Chinese company. Oh my goodness. Some people that's deal breaker. I mean, I'm going to make a video on this, and I'm completely deviating from OnePlus, but I want to talk to you guys real quick about, let me actually set this on Do Not Disturb so I don't get any notifications. I'll just go to airplane mode, to be completely honest with you. So, Samsung was saying that a lot of the... Okay, yes, let me just get this out the way. So Samsung, we all watched the event together, but Samsung was saying a lot of this stuff is done on device, AI, on device, hopla, hopla, whatever, right? And I was skeptical, and I had good skeptic for a reason. If you have the S24, please do this with me and see if this is right. So, first and foremost, if you go to your settings and you go down to advanced features and you go to advanced intelligence, this for me was unchecked by default. And as you can see here, I mean, it's so hard to do this, guys. I apologize. Okay, maybe I can do it like this. Okay, basically, this is so... Okay, let me just read it out loud. It says, process data only on device. This was disabled for me by default. And this says, for added privacy, process device for advanced intelligence features on your device instead of online. Online, it's basically saying online is going to produce better results. So you may want to have this disabled. But if you have this disabled, that means that the stuff isn't being processed only on the device. The stuff is being sent to Samsung as well as the Google Gemini AI model that's doing a lot of the heavy lifting. So that's why I was like, why is Samsung saying, oh my God, we're doing this all on device, yada, yada, yada. But this is unchecked by default. Once again, if you have an S24, please check this for yourself. Maybe I'm just tweaking. Maybe this was originally enabled and I disabled it and I just didn't really realize that. But when I saw this, I was a little bit infuriated. I was like, you guys, it's not like you're deceptive. I mean, you are being deceptive. I'm just going to call it out, right? Like you're saying you have on device, it is, but you should have the consumer best interest in their privacy. Because you're always talking about, oh, we have the Samsung Knox chip or whatever the thing is, we have security, utmost higher regard, but you have this setting disabled by default. Come on now. And the other thing is, if I were to go to, if I were to go to the privacy notice, and this will be just a lot easier if I were to just bring this up on the computer. So, Samsung privacy notice. And this is the other thing that makes me upset too. Let me actually bring this down. Okay, so I typed in Samsung privacy notice, right? If you were to click on the first link, last updated January 31st. This could just be some delay. I don't know, because like at this point, let's be honest, guys, Google and Samsung are in the same bed. They could be working together. So if you want to look at the latest privacy notice, you have to scroll down to this one. This was updated this year. Now, I want you guys to focus and listen. I know a lot of people don't read privacy policy, terms and condition. You probably should. If you're an adult raising kids, you 100% should. But regardless, make sure you're reading the privacy notice from at least at least 2024. Because last year it doesn't have all the AI stuff. So if you were to scroll down to the AI section here, I don't know why it's in black and white. I hate doing this in black and white. But you can see here, here is the privacy notice when it comes to the advanced intelligence. And I'll zoom in here. What I want you guys to do, I start from the bottom up, which is kind of a bit weird, but it'll say this. So for apps or services where advanced intelligence requires the collection of your data, some of your apps or services may provide the option to use advanced intelligence without your data being collected. You can check which apps and services provide this option by going to the relevant app or services settings. Now, honestly, I don't really like the wording of this small paragraph because it says going into the relevant app or service settings. I understand why they did it because this is not a document they want to continuously update, but they really should have like specified the apps that do that, right? Once again, it's because they don't want to update it, right? And honestly, the AI features are going to be the ones listed here, right? You have your live translation, Samsung keyboard where it does the auto translation, the interpreter, the Samsung notes. This is where it's really important, guys. The Samsung notes where you can auto summarize, do your meeting notes, the voice recording, turn your voice recordings into summaries, things like that. There's a lot of stuff you can do. The photo editor as well. We'll get to this part. The sentence above, it says, prior to using an advanced intelligence feature within an app or service that requires the collection of your data, you'll be informed prior to your initial use of said feature or of such feature. And listen, consumers are dumb. I'm not going to say consumers are smart. I mean, as a general population, we are a very smart race, but we're also very dumb as well. People just want to use these features. They're going to say accept, go, blah, blah, blah. And they just want to use it without understanding. So legally, Samsung is saying, hey, you guys agree to this. You may have not read it, but they're only going to show you this once during the initial process. Once you go through it, you're probably never going to notice it. So if that setting is disabled, all your data is partially being done on your device and everything else is being done on the cloud to give you better results. But in my own opinion, I'm gonna have to wait till I get to the S24 Ultra. My offline results and online results are pretty much identical. So I don't even know why there needs to be a online option that gives me better results. Anyway, so the only thing you guys really need to understand here is right here. With advanced intelligence, certain apps or services will use your inputs to provide intelligence features or intelligence features and services such as transcription and translation services. We all know that. Some of your apps or services process your data solely within your device, while other involve the processing of your data outside your device. This data includes your account information, which, to be honest, doesn't really bother me that much because Samsung's, it's really just like your Samsung account, right? What devices do you have? Username, password, stuff like that. Your device information as well, app information. But this is the important thing. What's up, Trend? Your inputs, including your text, voice, and media files. And guess what most of these features are when it comes to the AI features? They're text, voice, and media files. I don't know about you guys. Listen, I love AI. Halfway. I don't fully love AI. I don't think AI is going anywhere. I think it's just something we're gonna have to live with at this point. So I really don't feel comfortable sharing an excess amount of data with AI models. I would like to limit it as much as I can. So from my own opinion, you guys got most of my audience is adults, right? It's 24 and above. I'm not going to tell you how to live your life. I'm just going to give you my opinion. You can do what you want with it. My opinion, you probably want to have processed data on device enabled. I know Samsung has it disabled by default. You should probably go and enable it. You're not really going to notice that big of a difference when it comes to your results, your translations, but I just don't want people to get in trouble. And I also don't really think that Samsung should have the right to my own data without my consent. Obviously, once you sign this or once you accept this in the initial phase, legally you're bound to it. So once again, you got to do your due diligence as an adult. I know some people are saying stuff like, oh, this needs to be served to me on a silver platter, blah, blah, blah. Listen, if you are going to birth children into this world, if you are going to be a partner with someone, you have to be able to read documents and go through them and say, I am okay with this. I am not okay with this. So as soon as I read this statement, this advanced intelligence, I was like, I thought this stuff was on device. That's when I went into the phone, checked my settings, and that processed data on device was disabled. So I'm probably beating a dead horse at this point, but pretty much If you, people always message me. If you go to your advanced features under settings, and then go to advanced intelligence, scroll to the bottom and make sure that process data only on device. What about Meta platforms and Google? Both are advertising companies. I feel insulted. Well, it's not like I am, calling out Samsung solely, because listen, we live in an advertising world. That's how majority of these companies make their money, especially Google, right? And for me, it just feels a bit disingenuous from Samsung. And I also don't want, I mean, I've already said it, right? I don't think people are stupid. I think in general population that we're all pretty smart, but we can be pretty stupid. And it just left a bad taste in my mouth that Samsung was on stage saying, hey, this is done on device, on device, on device, on device, on device, on device, doesn't need to use the cloud. But the setting is disabled by default. So it's almost like they're contradicting their stance on security and privacy, because they're basically calling us idiots, because I feel as though a majority of people are not going to realize this, whereas the other two companies, they don't care. They're not going to try and hide anything. They're going to say, hey, we're trying to be protect. I mean, Google, you can argue that Google tries to be like, hey, we're privacy focused, but in reality, a lot of the settings under the hood are just scraping your advertiser ID and then selling it off to a third party. But for Samsung, for like another company that isn't really advertiser focused, even though they do collect a lot of data, I'd say they're basically the Apple of Android. To come on stage and say, hey, we're like security focused, everything's done on device, but the stuff is disabled by default, it's just leaving a bad taste in my mouth. Whereas I feel as though if Apple were to do that, it would be devastating to a large majority of the Apple fan base. And I feel as though Apple would have that setting on by default. Where they said it was being done on servers. Where did you read that it was device only? They said it during their presentation multiple times. That was like one of their selling points. How are we sure that transcript or logs done on device is not uploaded to their servers to check how good the AI did on device? Probably gonna have to do some routing. Maybe there's gonna be some other tools to see like some of the traffic to see if anything is being offloaded. That's why I want to get the S24 Ultra or another S24 device, just so I can see how I'm able to, or just so I can see the differences between a thing that's done on device versus a thing that's done on a server, partially on a server. That's why when they were doing the whole like circle search, I was like, there is no way that this is done on device. Same thing with like the translator, because listen, it all sounded great, but as soon as they said we're using Google's AI Gemini, I was like, how are you doing this on device? There's no way. Like, once again, I really don't think, I mean, Google cares about their phones, but if Samsung can lead the charge, Google's just like, hey, we'll ship you the software, give us everyone's data, set that thing off by default, we'll give you a cool billy per year, and we're good. Okay, I got sidetracked. Like I said, I'll make that completely in its own video. People wanted to know about the macro shot. So let me go here and let's use the good old, is this organized? No, it's not. So I just have the two jokers on top. So let me just do this here. And let me just, I don't know how much closer I can get. Okay. I mean, this is, it looks good on stream. In real life, it doesn't look that great. I probably zoomed in a little bit too much, This one is much better when it comes to the macro shot. Someone was asking about, like, I think nature. It's dark outside. I apologize. I'm not going to be able to give you photos right now of nature. But I would say it's a decent macro lens or macro shot capability. I mean, I'm going from this to this. I'd say that's a fairly good job. Let's see what it looks like on the cover display. Other thing that I just like how I'm on the same app whenever I open or close the device. Oh, it says hold to view without Pro XDR. OnePlus, it literally looks identical. Hopefully that gives you insight on the macro lens. Let me just try another card as well. Or I have a watch over here. Listen, for the watch elitist, I know you're gonna say, "Oh my God, it's a quartz." Listen, cry me a river. Huh? Huh? Not bad, right? Not bad, right? Hold the button that says XDR. Oh, it's I for macro, I feel as though it's really not going to do much because I mean, there's really not enough light in order to like capture that amount of detail. So maybe it would work more on the regular shots they do through the photo, like the 1x lens or like portrait shots, things like that. But yeah, this is the macro lens. This is actually pretty nice. What OnePlus phone is that? This is the OnePlus Open, my friend. Retails at 16. Pretty spiffy device. I wonder, am I supposed to use the ultra wide lens for macro? I don't think so. This. All right. Any final questions on the OnePlus Open? Would you be getting the OnePlus 12? My friend, it is already on the road. I mean, probably not now. It's probably on a train somewhere to my place. But yeah, the OnePlus 12 is on its way. Very, very excited about the OnePlus 12. Honestly, whenever I go overseas, OnePlus is just so hype. It's very Apple-esque when you go to like a OnePlus store. Do you prefer the Open to the Z Fold? If I had to pick one. That wireless charging, man, that's what gets me. I love wireless charging. But am I willing to give that up for a form factor like this? Yeah, I would. I would actually pick the OnePlus Open over the Z Fold. Would you recommend the OnePlus Open for $1,300 or the S24 Ultra for $1,400? Ooh. I mean, for me, it's going to be a no-brainer. It's going to be the S24 Ultra. I'm not saying that the OnePlus Open is a bad phone. I just think that these phones have matured so much that it's going to be less of a... What the heck? Forgot, I got these in Dubai. I thought these were a different set of cards, but I guess not. But yeah, I just think like these, as Trenton likes to call slap phones, are just much more mature in the tech space. And when it comes to support and longevity, this is just probably going to be a better value for your money. I would like to have a lot of support when it comes to my phone, not only like software support, but like physical support. And I don't know how good physical support is here in the States versus like Samsung, Google, and Apple. Where I can just go online, ship it to a store, go to You Break, You Fix It. Or I Break, You Fix It. I always say that backwards. And things just get resolved pretty quick. OnePlus, I don't think it's like that. You probably have to go through your carrier or, try your luck at those third-party repair shops. So for my money, I would go for the S24 Ultra. How are you quoting what they said, the fact you haven't watched the presentation? I mean, presentation's like half the battle, right? What MacBook do you use, M1 or M2? I'm still on M. I can't do an upside down M, but it's the M1. I'm on the M1 Air. I'm cheating though. I'm cheating, I will admit, because I do have my own home server. So I just SSH. If I need like horsepower, I'll just SSH to my home server and do what I need to do. But to be completely honest, my home server is significantly weaker than my MacBook Air. I think, here, let me bring this back. My home server is a i5 75, what the heck? i5 75T. This is my home server that I SSH to when I need to do like some horsepower. And look at the wattage on this thing, 35 watts on an Intel chip. Oh, I'm sorry, I could have swore Marcus Brownlee said it was only hosted on the server. In a few years, you'll have to pay for the AI features. Don't know where they host the presentation. Typically, whenever a new device comes out, a keynote or a press release will be released. If there's no presentation, there is for sure going to be a press release on whatever a company is putting out. And I usually get that as like my source of truth information. So no matter what I say, no matter what any other tech tuber might say, always fact check what they say. But yeah, that is true that, you know, it's going to be free in a sense where it's on device. That's probably where you got that interpretation of where, you know, it's free for the first year, which is probably on device. But if you want to pay for the AI features, oh, if they make it so you have to pay to use it locally, that would suck. I would actually never use a Samsung phone ever again. There's no way. What do you think of the Xiaomi 14 for the specs? I think it's quite a good deal. Interesting to hear your thoughts. Well, if the Xiaomi brand was illegal in America, I would have some thoughts, but I don't have the Xiaomi 14. It always makes me sad when someone brings up Chinese phones, because I'm just like, they don't exist here, man. I guess this is their new flagship because it has the Gen 3 processor. Oh wow, 13 hours ago. Wait, no, December 10th? Oh, I'm sorry. I don't need a whistle into microphone. Will you be reviewing the Apple Vision Pro next month? Sadly, I will. My bank account is currently just in the dumps. Listen, the finance department is not happy whatsoever. I tried to not buy it, but Apple got me. The fingers just went to the Apple store. I did the checkout phase, bada bing, bada boom, and now it's being shipped. I don't believe I'm in the first wave of shipments. I think I'm gonna get mine a little bit later in February, so I'll be on the sidelines for the first wave, but a little skeptical. The specs, though, I am impressed by. See ya, John Doe. I'm impressed by because, you know, Apple's saying that it's like a home theater replacement, which is a very, very, what's the word I'm looking for? It's just a very bold statement to say that this is like your home theater setup replacement, like 3,500, basically $4,000. No way. Because listen, I think as an individual, it is going to be an amazing experience for like watching stuff, right? But to say that it's a better home theater experience, I can't get by that because you have to watch with other people, right? You cannot be like a full Dolby Atmos wired out system with a projector screen or an OLED screen or just a big screen in general. You are not going to be able to beat that when it comes to sound. I don't think people pay much attention or give as much prioritization to sound when it comes to home theater. Because yes, I think the display that we're getting in the Apple Vision Pro, it's going to be top of its class. I think that's going to be amazing, right? But the sound, I just can't buy it. Even with the Apple Vision Pro, or not Apple Vision Pro, even with the AirPod Maxes, or if I had like HomePods, I just don't think you're going to be able to beat a full setup. I think the only thing that Apple's really selling is the convenience of you being able to go. You can't pick up your home theater setup and go somewhere else. But at the same time, why would you want your home theater setup? Like, I just have to use it. I'm too skeptical, but if I use it, my mind might change. I just don't see myself trying to use this on a plane. I just don't. I don't think Apple Vision Pro will be good as first gen product, but I do think it's a pretty awesome experience by the 4th or 5th gen. Yep. Maybe there'll be an Apple Vision Pro or Apple Vision. That's it. It's for people like us who can afford it. But yeah, I still use the M1 Air. It's a great device. I like the taper design. It is showing its age though. I'm gonna have to wipe it pretty soon because my storage, I have 256. The storage is it's just way too full. Apple's home theater can only be used for 2 hours. Yeah, that as well. I mean, once again, Apple's like, use this at home. It's going to replace your home theater. If I can only use it for 2 hours, actually not even that. If I'm home and I can sit somewhere where I can have this charged all the time, yes, that looks great. But at the same time, why would I want to use this over an actual home theater setup when I'm already home? I don't know. I bought a 16 gigabyte, 1 terabyte MacBook Air. I'm happy because I did definitely see it lasting 10 years. Yeah, I mean, I was going to make a follow-up video before the M3 MacBook Airs are released that the M1 Air is still the best-selling laptop on Amazon for the 3rd consecutive year in a row. I don't think it's dropped from its first place position since its release. And I just convinced a person who has been on Windows her entire life and she hates macOS. And I'm like, listen, you can get a Windows laptop. I'm not going to steer you away from that. I'm just saying, if you want a laptop that is going to last you for a longer time than your Windows laptop, you just try macOS, right? Just try it. And this girl ended up getting an M3 MacBook Pro. I was like, you got a better laptop than me. What the heck? I don't think people realize how similar computers are. I mean, yes, macOS looks different from Windows, but like in general purpose stuff, it's really the same. You're opening up a browser, moving your mouse, and typing on the screen. You're not really doing that much unless you're using like a specific application. But even then, the applications are pretty much mirrored on both platforms. So there's not that big of a difference. How do you feel about OLED iPads starting at $1,500? I guess just leave that for the pros. But at the same time, why? Why would Apple even... I mean, I guess for the experience, but it's like... I just don't know if it's worth it over a mini LED. I mean, when I was at CES and I was talking to Asus, and I was like everything nowadays is just OLED, but like OLED is genuinely expensive from like the supplier side of things. So how is it? And they were just like Samsung. Samsung's just making really good OLED panels for cheap now. And I'm like, okay, well, I mean, it makes sense. So, I mean, if the iPad has OLED, sure. But at the same time, if you can do it for cheaper with mini LED and get pretty close to the results of what OLED can do, I don't even know from like a business perspective why you would even bother doing OLED. Phones, it makes sense. The phone display sizes are so small that you're able to cut out a lot of the pieces to get OLED, but like for iPads and TVs, the profit margin is just... Sorry, not supposed to whistle. How long have I been streaming for? It's been over an hour. I was not intending to stream this long. Me though, I'm not touching it. I'm still on like the iPad Pro 3rd gen, 4th gen. I haven't upgraded mine in a while. I wish there was an equivalent M1 Air on Windows with the same build quality, weight, battery life, speed, efficiency, and display quality. See, I would argue that Windows laptops have some of those aspects, but all of them combined, it does not exist. Build quality, I would argue that there's some better build quality laptops than the MacBook. The weight as well. Speed, you're not going to match the MacBook. Efficiency, you're not going to match the MacBook. Display quality, I'd also argue display quality is probably going to be better on some Windows laptops as well. But to get a combination of those all, Apple just does it better, in my opinion. Thoughts on the rumored 12.9 iPad Air to be offered? I think that's great. And if you were to buy a new phone into 2024, what do you recommend? I mean, 2024 just started, right? I'm going to release a video sometime soon. It's probably not going to be during this whole craze of Samsung and the Apple Vision Pro, but I'm just a big proponent of flagships and old flagships. Just because like there's nothing wrong with like budget phones or mid-range phones, but I just think older flagships are better overall. Like they have features that the budget phones are going to have the following year in terms of support as well. But to answer your question directly, what do I recommend? Depends if you want iOS or Android, right? If you want iPhone, get a 14 Pro or 15 Pro. If you like big phones, probably the 15 Pro Max. I would not touch a Pro Max device by Apple less than the 15, just because the phone's just proportionally not fun to hold in the hand. But the 15 Pro Max, they made really good improvements there. And then for this, might shock a lot of people, I would probably say the Pixel. I actually like the Pixel 8. Probably wouldn't go for the Pixel 7 Pro. I'd get this Pixel 7a if you're tight on the budget. But you know, if you're already going for like a iPhone 15 Pro, probably just go for the Pixel 8 Pro. If not, just get the S23 Ultra. But yeah, 12.9 iPad Air to be offered, I think would be great. Although the iPad Air and like the regular iPad are starting to confuse me a little bit, and even like the iPad Pro. I mean, I guess the iPad Pro is like professional level, but like for like the regular iPad, I guess it's like the entry level model, and then the iPad Air is like that in between phase, and then the Pro is like Pro. But yeah, 12.9 iPad Air would be amazing. Apple laptops aren't modular. Apple is anti-right to repair. Have you heard of Louis Rossmann? How can you praise the MacBook? Ooh. You see, this is tough. Because listen, I like Louis Rossmann. I think a lot of the things he says are sound. And obviously with Framework, what they're doing with the modular laptops, it can be done. It can be done. It would honestly be amazing if Apple had their stuff be more repairable. And it really does suck that they're basically saying, our consumers are too dumb or too incompetent to fix their own devices, which to some degree is true. Like, you would be surprised at the stupidity that some people are when it comes to their devices. But for people who are knowledgeable, read documentation, they should have the ability to try and fix it. I mean, praise Apple all we want about like when we open up their device, how tightly packed everything is, how everything just kind of is like a unified masterpiece when it comes to looking at their boards and stuff. But if there are people that are expertise in hardware, they should have the ability to fix their device. Period. That's like when you buy a car, there's a reason why there are third-party mechanics. They've probably worked at these companies before as a mechanic, but they decided to do it on their own. They are knowledgeable. They probably also have the equipment as well. It might not be, the best equipment to do it, but it is in line with equipment that can repair and diagnose their system. I don't think it should be that different when it comes to smartphones, which is why third-party repair shops exist. America needs to be more like Europe and force Apple to add upgradable storage. This is where I actually disagree. I actually had a lot of debates about this. Listen, I love what the EU is doing, and this is not like my American patriotism coming out, but I really don't think the government should be the one that demands companies to do X, Y, and Z. I feel as though it should be competitors in the field as well as consumers. But I think the problem is Apple consumers are just so die hard and will literally buy anything Apple and support them no matter what, that they aren't willing to hear the other side. It's literally like politics at this point. Where it's like, I genuinely feel like if as a general population, people stopped buying Apple products because of how closed off they are, Apple as a business would have to do something. But the Apple fan base is just drinking that Kool-Aid. They are not going to do, they're going to support Apple and whatever decision that they do. So yes, it is nice that the government is coming in and saying, hey, Apple, you need to do this. But that should be on the responsibility of other companies and consumers as well. Because let's be honest, at least in the American government, I mean, have you seen us lately? Have you seen our policies? Have you seen us do discussions? It's a mess. I would actually like the American government to not get involved. I would actually say, hey, European government, tell our government what to do, and then we'll just pass the bills. I'm not Applegate. I'm not a fan of Apple gatekeeping repairs. If you get a camera or a battery by a third party, you don't get Face ID or the possibility to see your battery health. Exactly why I'm going to Android. Sure, USB being standardized right now is a good thing, but what about when a completely superior alternative to USB-C port comes out eventually? I mean, how did Apple get away with Lightning for so long? I mean, it's the fan base. People swore up and down that, hey, Lightning is superior to micro USB, which was true. The USB-C came out and we were like, okay, Apple, you can change now. You don't have to keep using Lightning. Although Lightning, when it was released, was ahead of its time, but USB-C came out soon after, and at that point, just switch. All right, I'll probably stream for like the next 5 minutes, and then we will wind down this stream. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this open discussion of the OnePlus Open review and then the general discussion afterwards. Tried to keep it as, you know, not up. I can't really think right now. My throat is dry as a desert. But I was really just gonna say, hopefully the discussions that we've had was informative. There's still discussion going on right now. The only thing I fear about Android is that it might be a lot less polished than my iOS experience, and I don't want to deal with that on the regular. Yeah, I'm almost done with my 1 year without iPhone. And man, I don't want to say I miss iPhone, but there are certain aspects where I just think Apple executes so much better that it would make me want to give up stuff on Android just for the sake of being on Apple. Like, I've said this before, but software updates are so bad when it comes to Android. And people are like, oh, on Android, no one really updates their devices. No one really cares. But if you look at Apple, there's a majority of people always moving on to the next OS. Why? When Apple releases an OS, they are very clear. Everyone globally gets it around the same time. Not device specific, like, oh, this round of phones get it first, then this round and this region, and then this region gets it. No, it's like iOS 17.4 is coming out. Here are the features. Boom. Android, it's like, okay, we have One UI 6.0 is out for the S23 series, but we have the S24, which is running One UI 6.1, but the S23 series doesn't have the update available yet. So it's like it's running on devices, but devices that are supposed to get it don't have it available yet. Sometimes it's locked by your carrier, locked by your region. It's in different cycles. It's just a complete mess. So honestly, that's why nobody cares about Android updates, because it's just a confusing mess. If you want the latest OS, you might as well just buy a new Android phone. But for Apple, consistency. The one thing Apple does really good, if you tell them to be on time, they will be on time. You tell Android to be on time, they will not be on time. But yeah, updates, that's probably my biggest thing that I hate about iPhone or Android software. I've been on iPhone for more than a year, but I'm crawling back to Android. I'm so used to the way Android does things that using iPhone sometimes irritates me. That's fair. That is fair. Like now with these AI features, whew, going back to iPhone, I'm like, hey, this is a dumb phone. I've started using Linux a lot, and the lack of polish is definitely the only real problem I have with it. The amount of time I spend troubleshooting and recompiling software feels like the waste of time, but it's the journey. It's the end result. That is why you get into Linux. I use Linux for a couple of years. I should probably tell this story on my channel, but I was anti-Apple. I hated everything Apple. I didn't understand why people would spend so much money on a MacBook when you can get a Windows laptop or even get Linux and just be better. So I downloaded Linux, used it for 2 years, and I'm like, this is great. Why would anyone get a Mac? Then I used the Mac. And I was like, okay. I was like, this is basically Linux, but I got support from a company. And I used the phone with the company. Like, I understood the ecosystem. I understood everything at that point. I was like, okay, I see the hype. And then from there, I just became an Apple boy. What's that, passive aggressor? I still use Linux on the regular though. Whenever I need to like do some heavy work, I just SSH to my home server, do what I need to do. I should make a video on that. I want to reach out to, what's that NAS company? Synology. I also want to reach out to Micro Center and be like, hey, I need to make a new build. Can you help me? I'll showcase a home server that I'm doing. Because listen, this machine right here, I don't know why this is still up here. This machine right here, this i5 7500 XT, listen, it can get the job done, right? I run Docker. I have a whole bunch of stacks on there. I think I have, like, what is this? This is a 4-core, 4-thread processor. I have like 12 virtual machines running on here. Like, it's impressive. It's impressive. But if I had more threads, more cores, hey, I'm chilling. Yeah, maybe I will do a video on this. I did not pay $192. I paid like $50 for my server. I wish I finished my discrete math homework earlier and knew about the stream sooner. Dude, I hated discrete math. I think I barely passed that class. I don't know why no company has sponsored you yet. You deserve it. No, companies do sponsor me. I mean, this year I'm starting to accept sponsors. So like the video early on in the year with the Asus, that was a sponsored video. But I'm just very picky when it comes to sponsors, right? It just depends. I'm more of a people person, right? If you treat me with respect, I will treat you with respect. And honestly, some of the people that want to do business with you don't really have you as like a personal person in mind. They just want to say, just do this, get the bag, and be happy. And it's like, I don't need the bag. I'm chilling. You go do that for someone else. Like, YouTube's not my livelihood, so I have the ability to say no. For some people, they can't say no. YouTube is their livelihood, which, once again, no disrespect to people who do YouTube full time and take sponsorships, but it's a brand thing. I understand people trying to do this as a business. For me, it's a hobby, so it is what it is. OnePlus 12, guys, it's on some random truck somewhere getting shipped to my place. I have no idea where it is. I'm excited though. I haven't been hype for OnePlus since the 8. The 7 Pro, beautiful, but the 8, that blue, oh my, let me show you guys real quick. OnePlus 8 blue. That blue that they had, ultramarine. Lord, OnePlus was like the king back in the day. I loved this phone. Honestly, the OnePlus is what got me into Android. I was like, dang, this is what we're doing on Android? I remember this. That was such a good phone. Look at this beauty, man. This for me, this was peak OnePlus. This was peak OnePlus. I don't know why balloons went off in the background, but this was peak, man. This was an exceptional device. God, dude, and the thing is, this is what got people talking. Like, when I had this device, they were like, what phone is that? I'm like, OnePlus 8. Dude, like, they're just... And then the OnePlus 9, 10, 11. Oh, I'd say the 9 and the 10 with the whole Hasselblad thing. I don't know. They just tried to be too flagshipy. Like, it just seemed like they lost their identity. I mean, I really don't like what they're doing with this whole design now. This is hideous. They gotta get rid of this. But this phone right here, man. I remember when I had to put my SIM card back in my iPhone, I was so sad. I was like, wow, this phone sucks. I love this phone though. It was a beauty. And the fast charging as well. Oh my god. Look at that. Look how fast it's charged. Oh no. It's right here. So the phone is dead at this point, right? Oh no, it's like right here. So the phone is dead at this point. Dang, I didn't have no facial hair back then with glasses. 30 minutes. They said in 30 minutes you can have 50% battery life. I was like, all right, put this to the test. Man, dude, this was COVID days. Dang, I really did a time lapse this long. No wonder people don't watch my videos. All right, 30 minutes is up. Power on the device. Look at this. Look at this. 50% on the dot. This is called true marketing. You advertise something, people test it. Look at the curve on that. Look at how much display you have. Why are we going back to flat edges, man? I love it and all, but I personally love curved displays. They just look so much better. Look at this phone, man. Let me get out the way. Look at this phone. You're telling me that this came out 4 years ago? You're crazy. You're crazy. Look at this display when I'm walking. Look at that. Oh, there is so much display here. That's why when the OnePlus 9 came out, I was like, what the heck is this? What the heck is this? Hasselblad? I don't care about Hasselblad. This is peak OnePlus for me. Beautiful. Beautiful. Dude, first of all, how do I have this quality back in the day? What phone was I using? I don't think the iPhone 13 Pro is out yet. That thing is crisp. All right, let me get off the OnePlus hype train. But I'm excited for the OnePlus 12. I'm excited to go back to the OnePlus. RCS on iPhones, give me something I'm hyped for. Yep. Man. The 865, those were the good days. .5G Wi-Fi, dude, this phone was ahead of its time. Fanatic mode. They got the gaming studios up in here. These colors, man. This color was okay, but this blue turns heads. Beautiful. I'm actually just getting sad scrolling through that page of how good OnePlus was. But that was also their dark horse year. Not dark horse. That was the year where they're like $1,000. $1,000. Take it or leave it. Hey, honestly, I bought it and I was like, hey, guys, you might not like what I'm about to say, but this phone should be worth $1,000. Because what did we have? We had the Note 20. Who's buying the Note 20? That thing was garbage back then. The 19 was so much better. All right, I am going to end the stream here. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this review and the open discussion. Maybe I'll do this. Ooh, the A Lopez 408. Thank you for subscribing. Wait, I said you bought a MacBook Pro. What the heck? I don't think I had that as my subscriber notification. But yeah, maybe I'll do this again for like the other reviews. Actually, maybe not. This was maybe for not like high priority items. Maybe just like for low-key items and things like that, I'll do a live discussion review. But like the long-term reviews, I'll probably just do a proper video for those. But I'm excited for the S24 Ultra. Excited for Apple Vision Pro. I'm excited for the new MacBooks. I'm excited for this whole year in general. Excited for gaming too. Don't even get me started. That Dragon Ball trailer, Tekken's out, Wukong's coming out, Rise of Ronin's coming out this year. Like, this year is just gonna be solid. Everything about ever thought about making a Discord? I've thought about it. I just don't know who is gonna moderate it. And I have to also figure out how to contribute to it. Because I feel as though if I make a Discord, I'm not going to be in that thing at all. I don't want to say I'm anti-social media, but I am rarely on like media apps, believe it or not. But I'm excited. Oh, before I go, if there's any product I'm excited for, it's this. Let me show you real quick. Gotta hide the chat for this one. Asus Zenbook Duo. This laptop, when this thing drops, I am going to be amazed. Is this it right here? Yada yada yada, reject. This is going to replace my MacBook Air. 100%. 100%. This, I mean, I think the Chinese already did this, to be completely honest with you. But I tried this at CES, and I was blown away. I was like, there is no world I am not buying this laptop. I told Asus, listen, you can send me the product. It's fine. I'm going to buy this anyway for myself. This laptop, the amount of usability, look at this. You basically have dual monitors everywhere you go. And they're both OLED. And then whenever you need to pop on the keyboard, you can do that. I even told them, listen, this keyboard, sell it separately. It's so good. You don't even need the laptop. They're like, we can't sell the keyboard separately. I like, dang. The hinge on the back, industrial. Guys, I'm telling you, if there's a Windows laptop to get, it's this Zenbook Duo. It's first generation, so probably be a little bit careful. Tread with caution. But this, you have dual 3K 120Hz OLED monitors. You don't need one, pop a keyboard on top, you have a regular laptop. You need more productivity, pop off your keyboard, you have dual screens. Come on now. Come on now. What can you do? Look at this. Okay, the virtual keyboard is terrible. This mode. Okay, not this mode. Not this mode. Where is it? This mode. Dual screen mode. Game changer. If every company gave this to me, I would be the greatest employee. Trust me. Because listen, you know how difficult it is to use your laptop as like a laptop? Like when I'm on the go, I'm like, man, I wish I had a second display. Guess what? Pop it off. Boom. And the price is like $1,400. I'm done. I'm off the box. You guys already know. Asus, like I said, you don't even have to sponsor me. I'm buying it anyway. I'm going to review it anyway. All right, okay, I'm officially out. If you guys want to continue the discussion, by all means, continue in the chat. Maybe I'll consider a Discord. I don't want to do a Patreon. I don't want to. Disrespectful. You guys just watch me for free. You don't gotta pay to see me. Anyway, guys, I'll see you guys in a video in the future.